Communication is the key to a successful career, life, business, and relationship. When we fail to communicate well with people, we affect our career, life, business, and relationships. Today, I'll be introducing you to a powerful communication technique called the nonviolent communication technique, which was taught by Marshall Rosenberg. Now, this technique has helped me, and I'm sure that this technique will help you as well. Hi, I'm Thomas Verghese, author and life coach at empoweryourselves.com, and today we'll be talking about nonviolent communications. So let's get going. Sometimes we get angry with our kids, our spouse, our employees, and our colleagues. But when we use the nonviolent communication technique, it improves our communication with all these people. So let's look at it in more detail. Now, as we know that compassion is our natural state. Now, what is compassion? Basically, compassion is giving and receiving from our heart. When we give and receive love from our heart, that's called compassion. Now, an example for compassion is like a mother and a child relationship, where the mother is compassionate, where she gives and receives love from her child. Another example for compassion could be like, for example, a famous personality like Mother Teresa, where she gave compassion to the poor and the downtrodden people. Okay, now let's look at the second point, where we are introducing the nonviolent communication. Language can play a very crucial role in communication. Words can hurt and pain ourselves and others. So we should be very careful with our words because words are very powerful. It can hurt and pain other people. Words can be empowering as well. Say, for example, a teacher talks a few encouraging words to her student. Now that really motivates the student to perform better. So we see that words can either hurt you or it can be also empowering and it can really motivate you to perform better. So we should be very careful with the words we use. Now, whenever we communicate with people, we should show respect and empathy to others. Now, what is empathy? Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another human. We should show others that respect and compassion is our only motive. So whenever we're communicating with others, we should always communicate with respect and compassion. All right, so now let's look at the nonviolent communication. I'd like to introduce nonviolent communication with you with a small story, and this story involves two characters, a mother and a son. Say, for example, the son's name is Johnny. Now, Johnny is very untidy. Like, he comes in the house, he throws his books here and there, he throws his soiled clothes here and there, and he makes the house a complete mess. So this really is upsetting his mother. Now, there are two ways in which the mother could react to this. Number one is the mother sees that the house is messy and she screams on top of her lungs to Johnny and says, "Johnny, you're terrible. You're a really useless son. And I really hate when you do this." Now she can get angry at Johnny. And now what that happens is it affects her physiology and she starts feeling stressed out. That is the number one way to react to that. The number two way of reacting to this same situation could be, number one is what she does is she observes what's going on. Now, what she observes is that the house is messy, like the books are lying all over the place, the clothes are lying all over the place. So she observes that the room is a mess. So the number two thing is she calls Johnny and she tells that, "Johnny, look, the house is in a mess." And what's happening is she tells her feeling. Now, since the house is in a mess, I really feel very stressed out and I really feel very frustrated because you're not keeping the house clean. So that's step number two. She expresses her feeling to Johnny. Now, third is what she does is she wants to tell Johnny what exactly is her need. So she tells that I want the house to be in order. That's the need that she wants. So, and once she observes what's going on, that the house is messy, and she tells Johnny how she feels. And then the third step was she says that she wants order in the house. Now, the fourth step is the action step. What can Johnny do to improve her life? So she tells Johnny, Johnny, would you be willing to keep the books in place and keep the clothes in the clothes bin so that the house is in order? So those are the, basically that story explains the four steps. Now, step number one is the actions we observe that affects our well-being. So we should articulate our observation without judgment or evaluation. Now, in this case, what did Johnny's mom observe? The books were all over the place and the clothes were all over the place. So that was the observation. Observe and state it without evaluation or judgment. So the step number one is to articulate our observation without evaluation or judgment. Now, step number two was what? Was our feelings in relationship to what we observe. So what feelings did Johnny's mom have? Johnny's mom had a feeling of frustration, okay, of anger. So those were the feelings which she felt. That is step number two. Now, step number three is, what are the needs, the values, the desires that create our feelings? So in case of our example, what were the needs that Johnny's mother needed? It was to have more order in the house. That is the step number three. And step number four is what? Is that she communicates that with Johnny. So the concrete actions we request to enrich our life. So the step number four is that she asks Johnny, Johnny, are you willing to keep the books in its place? And are you willing to keep the clothes in the clothes bin so that the house is more clean? All right. So that is, she's articulating the action step that Johnny needs to take so that there is order in the house. All right. So those are the four steps of nonviolent communication. All right. So to summarize, step number one is express the four pieces of information. That is observing, feeling, needing, and the action we request. So in our example, Johnny's mom observed that the house was in a mess. So she called up Johnny and she expressed to him how she was feeling. She was feeling angry and frustrated. And what was the need? What did she tell Johnny? I want order in the house and I want the place to be clean. And the fourth step was she requested Johnny, are you willing to keep your books in the place? Are you willing to keep the clothes inside the clothes bin? So what we need to do in the nonviolent communication is express these four things. That is, you observe what's going on, then express how it's making you feel. And the third thing is, what's your need? Express that. And the number four is that you should request the person to take action so that it's a better environment which is created. The number two step is receiving the same four pieces of information from the other person. So it's a two-way street, basically, when you're communicating. So when you're telling the person, you tell them what you observed, what are your feelings, what do you need from them, and what exactly the action steps that they should take. Similarly, you should also listen to them. Just like how you speak to them, you must also listen to them and receive those same four pieces of information. So when there is a back and forth exchange of information, we establish a flow of communication. All right. And the main thing in communication is that you should have respect and compassion when you're communicating with people. Okay. When you show respect and compassion, you see that any relationship, any communication will improve. All right. So now, where are the uses of nonviolent communication? Where all can we use nonviolent communication? Number one is you can use nonviolent communication with kids, with your spouse, with employees, and in the political arena as well. So it will help to solve communication problems. Let's look at another example, a very short example where you can apply nonviolent communication. Say, for example, you're the boss and you have an employee who comes late every day at work. All right. So let's look at the four things that the boss needs to communicate with the employee. So firstly, the boss will say, I observe that you're coming late to work. Okay, that's the step number one. The step number two in communication is, how does the boss feel? Just communicate that. So I'm feeling really frustrated because you're coming late to work. That's your step number two. Now, step number three is, I need a little more order in the office and I need my employees to come on time. That is, you're clearly communicating that what are your needs. And the fourth step that the boss communicates with his employees, please come to office before 8 a.m. in the morning. All right. So this is again another example of how we use nonviolent communication technique to communicate with people. Now the boss could also get angry at the employee and say, oh, you're a useless, good for nothing employee. I'm going to fire you. What is this? You're frustrating me. You're making me angry. That is method number one. Now, when you use this method, what is happening is you're really affecting your own physiology and you're getting stressed out. So instead of being stressed out, you can express it in a very, very simple way. You just say, I observe that you're coming late. Okay, I'm feeling really frustrated and upset about that. Okay, I need that our office has to be in order. People need to come in time. Okay, so, and the step number four is what? You tell the employee, please come by 8 a.m. in the morning. All right. So this is how you use the nonviolent communication technique. It's a really, really powerful technique which you can use to improve your communication and to improve your relationships. But always remember one thing, that you should have respect and compassion when you're communicating with others. That's how you really improve your relationship with others. So I hope this lesson was useful to you. Thank you so much and see you in another video tomorrow. Thank you.